Neurodiversity is also an asset, especially in business and crisis situations. It can be an asset and strength in the sense that you can have unique perspectives, creativity, solving problems out of the box. It's good to know yourself and to know your strengths and areas that you can develop for sure. Definitely electronics and social media give us dopamine. We know that ADHD brain have lower dopamine. That's why we crave this. But if it left uncontrollable, it can lead to addiction of binge watching for 3 hours. It will make us feel bad about ourselves after.
Society can profit so much if we use this creativity and outside of the box thinking.
Believe in yourselves and embrace your individuality, because this is what the world needs right now.
Today's episode is about ADHD. So many people have to do something with ADHD. Some people might even not know they have ADHD, and many people work with other people who have ADHD and don't know how to deal with this situation in the right way. And today we will learn what is ADHD and how to cope with that. Hello, Anna. Could you tell me a little bit about your experience with ADHD?
Yes, so I'm a mentor coach psychologist and have been working with neurodivergent groups, meaning people that have neurodiversity, which is a different wiring of the brain, including ADHD, since 2003.
Wow.
So I have worked with children, adolescents, and adults, and lately I'm working more with professionals, business owners, entrepreneurs that have traits of ADHD or a professional diagnosis of ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity condition that you could have only inattention, you could have hyperactivity, or you have combined. That is diagnosed by psychiatrists and their team. So there is a process for that. But in my coaching experience, I see profound executive function challenges in people that have these traits. This means challenges in the prefrontal cortex, which is the higher brain, part of the higher brain, which has to do with our daily activities and daily decisions. So decision-making, planning, prioritizing, focusing, starting something on time, finishing something on time, completing projects, being reflective, managing emotions, remembering things short-term, managing time well, being flexible, socially appropriate, and managing also impulsivity. So these are some traits that a lot of people could have some, challenges, but with ADHD is more profound to the point that it can become an obstacle. But at the same time, neurodiversity is also an asset, especially in business and crisis situations. It can be an asset and strength in the sense that you can have unique perspectives, creativity, solving problems, out of the box thinking. So it's all about the environment. So a lot of people, like my clients, 70% are on medication for ADHD, and I'm not against it. Pharmacology definitely has helped when there is deep neurodiversity. And depending on the level of neurodiversity, some people might find it helpful. But of course, the medication alone does not solve issues with day-to-day activities, efficiency, productivity, confidence, or emotional dysregulation. So I believe in self-development, whatever you want to achieve, that you can have ADHD coaching or executive function coaching with somebody that you trust, that you connect with, to elevate all areas of life and actually to believe that you can be more organized, you can manage time better, you can be more mindful.
Yes, those symptoms you described, they are also familiar to me. I forget sometimes things, and sometimes I'm disorganized. Nowadays, I use all those tools with Google Calendar and Notion and project management tools. So I think I improved myself in those areas. If a person sees those symptoms and thinks, oh, that's actually describes pretty much my lifestyle, with exception of some of them, would you recommend to take a test for ADHD?
There are some tests that you can do online, but if you want to go towards the diagnosis route that is professional from a psychiatrist, most of the people I work with do it because they want to go on medication. Otherwise, they know it already. Some of them do not want to go on medication and don't care to get the diagnosis. Because if you go, for example, I'm based in London, if you go through NHS, it can take a while. If you go privately, it can be faster. But if you don't want to go towards the medication route, you might just do coaching or self-test, not a professional diagnosis with a multidisciplinary team of psychiatrists and psychologists.
Is it better to know for sure that you have ADHD?
It's good to know yourself and to know your strengths and areas that you can develop for sure. And that can help you in all areas of life. So the more aware you are, you see your blind spots, you can improve. If we don't have what is called metacognition, which is one of these executive function skills that are usually underdeveloped with people with neurodiversity, they develop later in life as well, around 25 years of age. If we don't have that, we don't know what we need to change, to keep, or we don't know how we perform, we don't know how we show up. So it's important.
Could you tell me a bit more about metacognition? How does it compare to a person who doesn't have ADHD versus someone who has?
A person who does not have ADHD might have better metacognition, although everyone is different. And that depends on also environment, experiences, habits. A person with ADHD might be a bit disconnected with themselves sometimes because of this emotional dysregulation that is part of the condition sometimes, and might not think, because they might be thinking loads of things at the same time and not being their body. They might not think about what they say, how they say it, if it affected someone, what's the benefit of this for them, for other people, especially, yes, in all scenarios, in business, at home, in relationships as well. And sometimes they're also out of tune with their emotions because they are out of tune in their bodies.
Wow. I've been working on that actually, on both of those things. Sometimes when I meet new people, I tell my name and they tell their name. And through my head, there are so many thoughts during this process. Like, how am I perceived? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it with confidence? And then I don't remember his name or her name.
Yes, I also do that. That has to do with a lot of things, like working memory is one, emotional dysregulation, and also something I see in a lot of people with NTSD we have is the rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which is we perceive that other people don't like us because they might look us in an abrupt way or a weird way. So we make these assumptions and take it personally and feel emotional about that. But that's something that comes with a condition, and just by bringing awareness on the condition and accepting it, we feel better automatically.
What would you recommend in such situations if I'm overthinking all those things?
To do some exercise, to slow down your breathing, to read some books about correct breathing, like the one I always recommend by James Nestor, Breath. He talks about how to breathe correctly and how we don't breathe correctly. That's why we activate the sympathetic nervous system, which is the adrenaline-based fight or flight nervous system, which is the stress-based system, which does not help with any of the executive function skills, any decision-making, clear thought, or feeling calm. So having good habits like good sleep, consistent, uninterrupted if possible, good diet, hydration, exercises is very important for ADHD because it can boost focus and mood as it releases all the happy hormones, and sunshine where we can. That's the basics. And then there are other activities like working on shifting the locus of evaluation from other people to ourselves. That means just bringing it back to how we feel we did in that interaction, not what two other people might have perceived us by, and to validate our experience, validate our opinions. That's a process. Not easy, but it helps with self-acceptance a lot and self-love.
Interesting. Could you tell a few examples how clients of yours who are ideally entrepreneurs came to you and which problems they were struggling with and what did they do with you and how did it improve their life?
One client of mine always speaks very fast 2 months, and sometimes without thinking, because he has multiple companies, and he might give criticism to his staff. That might be correct, but he could give it in a way that could hurt their feelings. We worked through strategies for more self-control. So we worked with his response inhibition. We decided that he will have a notebook and just write down the comments that he wants to share, and then think about what's the benefit for the staff member, what's the benefit for him, and then using his metacognition, his self-reflection, how to approach this in a more constructive way of feedback the next day or a bit later. So holding back a bit. That helped him a lot. We also talk about, because ADHD normally runs in families, about issues that they might have in relationships with other family members in terms of communication, needs, understanding, and all of that.
Do we get ADHD from our parents?
It has a strong genetic component, but it can be brought forward even more by trauma. Either the trauma is physical or emotional. And there are now some studies that examine also mother's nutrition and stress levels throughout pregnancy and how it affects ADHD traits to be even more pronounced. Other business owners I have worked with struggle with confidence. Although they are successful, they don't see it, they don't feel it, they don't experience it. This is because of rejection sensitivity dysphoria, and with a lack of self-esteem, which comes with this condition, because you are different throughout life, right? So in a neurotypical world, some of the time this is not evaluated correctly. People have had bad feedback at school, in family, and this has changed how they see themselves. We worked with another business owner on her self-esteem, and she wrote down her daily successes every day based on the unhealthy belief she had about herself. Like, I'm not enough, for example. That's a very common one. And when she saw after a year or 6 months how many things she has achieved, she told me, I don't believe, but now I believe in myself, but I don't believe that I actually believe in myself. I said, that's amazing, because she could physically see it with evidence in front of her, But the impact of trauma in childhood and being judged, criticized at school can be profound. So it takes more time to rewire your brain and how you view yourself.
Yes, I do this as well. I write down what I have done today, because I always had a feeling that I haven't accomplished so much in this day and I should work more, although it's already so late. And now when I'm writing down those things, I realize, oh, I didn't do it yesterday. All of those I did today. It feels like I did work for 2 days and it didn't appear to me that I did enough. But just when it's on paper, I realize, okay, actually I have been doing plenty of things. I can actually go and enjoy myself and do some sports or something.
Yes. And it's about feeling proud about the things that we have achieved and bringing the focus of evaluation to ourselves. Do I feel proud about what I achieved? Not the feedback that other people give me, although that can help a lot. That can help in cases when I feel that these people are loved ones or people that have the best interest at heart, or where people that I trust their judgment. So again, we put a bit of evaluation on that.
I wonder why with ADHD I imagined, okay, it's something with not enough attention and maybe like fidgety, but feeling judged, that's surprising for me.
Most of the times at school, people are labeled as lazy, at home and the same. And being also they can fall into the archetype of the clown.
Yes.
Because they need this dopamine. With ADHD, dopamine can be lower. So they need this dopamine. How they get the dopamine? By being the clown of the classroom. They give a free show every class. They stay behind in their academics. Everyone else progresses. They think differently. If the school does not put in place things for their brain that works differently, they don't do well academically because they don't know their learning style, how they learn best, how they perform best. They get judged, so they carry that with them throughout life. Because they think differently, most of the educational school system at the moment is obsolete, years behind, decades behind. So they try to fit in a pigeonhole where they cannot. So that's against their authenticity. So they feel there are something wrong with them. They are weird. They are not good.
Do you think they also are prone or more likely to get into trauma because they are so different?
People can get advantage of people with ADHD because of their mood changes and their lack of metacognition sometimes, or emotional dysregulation. So, yeah, and because they need this dopamine, if they don't have strong boundaries and discipline from a young age, for example, if you're doing sports, etc., they could get this dopamine through binge drinking, doing drugs, self-medicating through drugs as well. I see a lot in some cases that they are not on medication, they need the medication because they have deep neurodiversity and then self-medicate with cannabis or other drugs.
And I guess that's not a good solution. I mean, drug sounds bad, but like cannabis, what is your stand on that?
I don't have a stand on that. There is some research about this, but I normally work holistically with people on healthy habits. But yeah, some people resort to some addictions, but also exercise can be addiction. If you do it 4 hours per day, because of the hormones it releases, it can get addictive. So all in moderation, I would say. Even healthy habits can be addictive.
What is your opinion about medication in general? How often do you see a need for medication, or do you think it's enough just to work on optimizing behavior?
If the neurodiversity is deep and multi-level, because it comes in a spectrum, most people can benefit from medication. I'm not against. But if you can manage and work on your executive function skills and your nervous system, because it's also the nervous system that is dysregulated in ADHD, especially based on the polyvagal theory that talks about the vagus nerve and how it affects all organs and brain functions. That's very important because it can be transferable over time. We can learn things and we can operate differently.
So if ADHD is really severe, kind of like on a higher level, and you are really limited in your life, you cannot learn things and cannot interact with society, then it's a good idea to take medication, or is it simplified?
It might be a good idea. Of course, people need to try the medication with dosage with a psychiatrist. That's best for them, but also work on their executive function skills and on regulating the vagus nerve to target it holistically, top down and bottom up. So somatically and based on the brain.
Could you go a little bit into detail of those terms you mentioned and give a few examples?
So the vagus nerve is the main nerve of our autonomic nervous system. It stems from the brain stem, which is here, until the end of the spine. And is based on the autonomic nervous system. And we have 3 states. One is the parasympathetic ventral vagal, where we feel open, relaxed, socially engaged, all is good. We feel the world is a safe place. That's why we're ready to learn better. That's why we can remember things better. That's why we can engage with others better. So that's a great place to be. Of course, life happens and we cannot always be in that state. And that's fine, as long as we can move through other states as well fast. The other state is the sympathetic nervous system. That has to do with adrenaline, fight or flight. This is when we are stressed about things, we go out to get things, and we need that also. We don't need to be zen all the time, as long as it's not too profound and we're always sitting on this fight or flight, because that could be detrimental to our nervous system. That could put a big strain to our nervous system. We see that with people that have lots of anxiety, for example, if they are always at that sympathetic branch of the nervous system. And the other is the parasympathetic dorsal vagal branch. But in that case, you don't feel good. You feel immobilized, stuck and frozen. And we see it when you're feeling hopeless, you don't see any hope. So in people with depression. If you feel a bit stuck, what you can do is get your body moving to go from that level to the sympathetic. And when you're in the sympathetic and you want to go to ventral vagal, you cannot do activities that engage the vagus nerve. That could be breathing, simple as that. Having healthy habits like sleeping well, being hydrated, having good diet, sports, not excessive, but exercise, sunshine, being with people that are good for our nervous system, because we can mirror that with each other. Doing activities we like dancing, singing also engages the vagus nerve. Many things you can do. Relaxing activities, and for every person is different. Working with ADHD, you can also work a sensory diet, for example, to feel more grounded, to go to ventral vagal again, for example. If you need quiet to focus, you can put noise cancelling headphones. That's auditory sense. If you need to have no distractions and to have a very organized environment, that's your visual sense. You go to a place where it's like that, or you organize your space where it looks tidy. You can find things. When you want to touch something, like a tactile sense of touch, you might experiment with different sensory tools such as an acupuncturing, acupressuring, that is very discreet. Nobody can understand that you do it for grounding. But all of this, what it does is helps you be not overstimulated, not understimulated, help you focus better, and help you feel more regulated. Smell also can be another essence, for example. We remember things through the sense of smell. For example, cookies in Christmas time is very, very strong neurologically, and we can use it to our advantage. When we feel stressed, we could choose a particular smell that helps us feel everything is okay and under control. If you want to sleep, a very common one is lavender, but it could be different for everyone. And if you need to move as well, because ADHD, you cannot stay focused for a whole day without moving, you can just work with your attention span and have breaks, work on a standing desk. Many things can help your senses feel more engaged and not overstimulated or understimulated. All of these things can help with autonomic nervous system as well. So good hygiene in terms of hobbies, sensory diet, being with people, connection is very important as well. Being connected and with the people that are good for your nervous system. Singing, doing activities that relax you could be different things for everyone.
Interesting. I think some of those tips are also good tips for non-ADHD people.
Sure. As everyone has executive function challenges themselves, and we live in a world that is a bit chaotic at the moment, and we definitely need strategies to pay attention to how we feel in our bodies. And some of the time, if we feel disconnected because of the brain and mind disconnection, if there is dysregulation, it's even more important to do this.
Could you tell a little bit about brain and mind disconnection?
That happens when our autonomic nervous system is distressed. We have been in sympathetic for a long time without taking care of ourselves. We have been feeling stressed, no time to relax. That put a strain on the autonomic nervous system. We feel agitated. We engage in activities that are dangerous because we don't feel grounded. We feel out of our body. And we cannot understand what's happening. Do I feel angry now? Where do I feel it in my body? What does the anger tell me? What do I need to do to feel better? We don't have that capacity for self-reflection because we are so dysregulated.
So in that case, it's good to ground yourself, to meditate maybe, or breathe deeply. Then you feel a bit more what's happening inside you.
Yes, and for some people it could be different things. Some people don't like meditation, especially some people tell me, I cannot focus, but there are some meditation apps that you can do 1 minute meditation. If you do it every day, for example, you can access that space when you need it, or you can do active sensory meditation for ADHD, for example. Meditation could mean different things. You could be mindful about how your body feels when you go out of your home, not having your phone with you, and just paying attention to different things every time. That could be meditation, just simply breathing. While moving, it doesn't have to be staying still. So for ADHD, there are differentiation that can happen with meditation, breathing for sure, many activities. I also work with Safe and Sound Protocol. This is coined by Dr. Stephen Porges, who is an American psychiatrist that works with the nervous system and regulates the nervous system. That's evidence-based studies on this listening therapy. So that works through an app. You download it, you put headphones, and you work with the practitioner in order to listen to the music every day, and you need to understand how long you can listen to it. And that retunes your nervous system because it has to do with the ears and the vagus nerve that is interconnected. It works with filtered music, but different things work for different people. It doesn't have to be that. It could just be I take some time to breathe in the morning and in the evening, and I do every day something that relaxes me and I sleep well, for example. But I also provide SSP for somebody that wants to go that route as well. The safe and sound protocol, which is the listening therapy I was talking before.
Are there certain things that ADHD people should avoid or are increasing ADHD? For example, people say TikTok shorts are bad and increasing, decreasing the attention span. Is there some connection with that, like with ADHD?
Definitely electronics and social media give us dopamine. And what do we know? We know that ADHD brain have lower dopamine. That's why we crave this. But if it left uncontrollable, it can lead to addiction of binge watching for 3 hours. That's definitely not good. It will make us feel bad about ourselves after. But if we put limits on the apps or have the app as an incentive, if I work on this task, for example, then I'll watch for 30 minutes and that will be all. That's stepping into our adult self and also get some dopamine, but not overdo it. So that definitely helps. The same applies for, excessive buying, whatever is impulsive, whatever gives you this dopamine. Is about, putting systems in place, making buying things more difficult, especially we are keen on buying things that we will regret later. And for all of this, help to be mindful. The more mindful we are, and the more reflective we are, and the more we use our executive function skills like planning what to buy, do I have the budget for that, and do this in advance, will help with managing ADHD and also leveraging it, because it's not just a disorder, as they call it. I don't call it a disorder, I call it a condition, because it's an asset for me. Some people see it as a liability. That's fine, because that's their experience, and I understand that it can come with other conditions such as depression and anxiety that can be difficult to end.
I have a few questions in regards of first sleep and then work. Let's start with sleep. Do you think ADHD people struggle more with falling asleep because they have so many thoughts in there?
It's well documented. Yes, they might struggle a bit more. Some of them, from my experience, take melatonin or other sleeping tablets. Some of them do it by working on their anxiety level, working on their emotional dysregulation, and because what keeps them up at night is their brain thinking. So the more they will organize their time, the better they plan, prioritize, the better they finish activities, and the better they manage their self-talk as well. But also emotions, holistically, they will have better quality sleep. Of course, if there is a psychiatric reason why they cannot fall asleep, that's a different reason that can be addressed medically.
So also diary, like writing down your thoughts, writing down what you have done so that you feel, okay, I've done enough for today. I can be satisfied. And second of all, I've written all my thoughts on paper, so I don't need to think about it, not to remember it. Does it help?
Yes, definitely. It helps for some people to do automatic writing. That means to write without lifting the pen for 5 minutes consciously or without thinking a lot. To put things on paper and then work on it. Some people don't like to do that. They can work in different methods, by speaking with someone or by working on some beliefs they have. But if writing is not your thing, there are other things that you can do for sure. It's just about working on priorities, finishing important things, feeling good about it. If you don't like writing, you can think about it, or you can speak to someone about it, or you can talk to the mirror about it, depending on what you like. But for some people that like writing, just writing 3 things that you accomplished throughout the day that you feel proud of could help. Or think about it before you go to bed, instead of blaming yourself about not completing a book in a day. Because sometimes we see that as well, having unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, I have been experimenting with recording my thoughts with smartphone, and now I am doing journaling, writing down. So I don't know what works better. For me, it was just more convenient to record it because I didn't need light and anything. I could do it very easily and could save time. But some people recommended to me to write it down. And I have to compare. I guess it's individually. There is no solution fits all.
Definitely, it's more powerful to write things down by hand, but some people don't like it. So in that case, we work in different ways. Yeah. I'm a fan of that.
So about work, because ADHD people need more dopamine, as I understand, so they get bored much easier. What do you advise in those situations?
Again, self-awareness, understanding what activities, projects I am passionate about, and being assertive enough to ask for them at work. Or if I'm a business owner, to delegate things correctly to team members, what I enjoy doing and what I don't enjoy, who enjoys that. So it's again about planning, prioritization, delegation, and building on the person's strengths as well.
Do you have cases in your consultancy, in your coaching, where there are some challenges that people struggle maybe to delegate their task? I mean, I'm talking about entrepreneurs specifically. Do you have some case studies for that and how you solve that?
It takes time to think about what I want to delegate and to trust people that they will do it as well. So yes, we work with training people and recording the training so it can be used in the future, and working with team members as well together, each helping each other as well, and giving feedback of mistakes, how to avoid them, what's the best solution, etc.
Are ADHD people more skeptical about delegating, or is it just human nature?
They usually find it more difficult to think about what's a high priority, how they can chunk projects down, what they can delegate. So they need a bit more thinking and practice in that. This is what I see.
What is a common advice you give to people who are telling you, okay, I'm struggling with certain tasks, I'm struggling with my work as an entrepreneur, maybe I'm struggling organizing myself? Do you advise them to get certain tools like project management tools, or how do you cope with that?
I have my own template that I use, but there are very good tools out there as well that some people prefer to use because it is more business friendly in some respect if they have multiple projects, multiple clients, for example. So we work with that, but it's also about understanding what's the most important things to do that month, that week, that day, and reverse engineering them and just breaking them down, because this is what they find difficult sometimes. And just by talking about it and planning it, they feel more in control of the situation.
Yes. So let's talk about strengths. We have been talking a lot about how to cope with weaknesses, but as far as I understand, there is a lot of resources inside ADHD people, and the society can profit so much if we use this creativity and outside of the box thinking. Could you talk about that a little bit, please?
Yes, so I see people with ADHD are very talented. I see them as geniuses. But if we are placed in that old environment, we will definitely think we're not good enough. So it's about being in the right environment, in the right business. I see a lot of business owners have ADHD because business has more challenges in a way. 70%, 80% of business owners are entrepreneurs and have ADHD or trained to have ADHD.
Wow.
So unpredictability and dealing with it can be a strength. Creativity that is needed in business can be a strength, or a profession that has creativity also can be a strength. Solving problems, out of the box thinking, originality of thought, all of that.
Yeah, I've heard ADHD people also work in hospital in this first aid department because it's also unpredictable.
Yeah, they deal well normally, except if their executive function closes completely because of stress. But they normally deal well with stress. Everyone is different, has a different profile that we need to see. But they do well in stress normally, usually.
If an entrepreneur wants to create a new business and he has or she has ADHD, should she or he avoid certain type of businesses? For example, accounting or like lawyer or controlling, where you have to be very precise with numbers and with small details?
It depends on the type of neurodiversity, because if you have ADHD, autism spectrum, or Asperger's, you might be amazing at details. Maybe you have ADHD as well. So it's a combination of things that we need to look at. But I would say that in order to have a business, there needs to be a demand in what you want to create a business on. You need to be good at it. And there needs to be that intersection. So there needs to be proof of concept as well. So not only that we like it, we're good at it, but it works in the market. We have tested it like an experiment. People need that. There is a gap, and I can find ways to do it in my own unique way.
And especially you enjoy working on this, doing those tasks.
Yes, I enjoy working a lot with business owners.
Yes, they're interesting crowd, isn't it?
Yes.
They are, how do you say it? Go-getters.
Go-getters, yes.
Very nice. Would you like to share anything else with our audience? Maybe what we didn't cover is if you work with ADHD people, how to utilize their talents in the best possible way.
Put themselves in environments that they will thrive, not just survive. If they are business owners, find the right business for them based on the criteria that there is a gap in the market. I know how to fulfill that need, and I'm enjoying doing that. And working with their executive function skills and their vagus nerve, the nervous system, to streamline processes, work on strategic planning, and build healthy habits. If you want to work with me, I'm happy to work with a few more people. You can contact me on www.annadafnawithph.com.
We will link as always in description below, of course. Yeah, thank you very much, Anna. It was very interesting to get some light into ADHD world.
Yes, I love working with people with ADHD, and I would say to believe in yourselves and to embrace your individuality, because this is what the world needs right now.
Yes, those are very strong and valuable words.
Thank you.